What's going on, everyone? David here. So today I want to talk a little bit about safety in Colombia. Now, I know there are tons of videos out that talk about how to be safe in Colombia. Is Colombia dangerous? Let's get that second question out of the way. Is Colombia dangerous? In my opinion, it's not. I think Colombia has a lot to offer, and you just need to be smart. And that's just the reality. I'm in Colombia now. I've been here for about going on 6 weeks now, and I've had a good time. The whole time I've been here, haven't had any issues. But you need to watch out. You need to watch your surroundings. You need to know what's going on in your surroundings at all times. And that's not just Colombia, that's anywhere you go. Any place you travel to, you need to have that mindset. And I won't even say travel. Anytime you're anywhere, you need to have that mentality, because I don't care where you are. And in the US right now, I've been watching the news, and things have been going on in the US. Mass shootings and things like that. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on everywhere, anywhere you go. And so you just need to be careful. I will say that in Colombia, for the most part, I feel safe. I don't have any issues with anyone. There was a situation that happened to me, and this has happened last week. I was hanging out with some friends, and I'm in a park right now. I'll show you guys what I'm looking at here, just so you kind of get a picture, an idea of what's going on around me. But it's a park. It looks like they have a little track over here to ride bikes, and you got all these kids on this little bike trail. I'm not exactly sure what this whole thing is here. Yeah, it looks, I mean, you have stands, you have everything, so it does look like it's some kind of a park for a BMX. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool that they have that. But yeah, I had a situation where I was with a few friends, and it was late at night, and we were at a restaurant. Okay, so we had gone to a nightclub, we were dancing, and then we decided to go get something to eat. And it's pretty much kind of the way you do in the US. You go and you go to a club, and then after the club, then you go get something to eat. So it was probably about 2 in the morning. About 2 to 2:30 in the morning. And we went they have a lot of restaurants in Colombia, and I'm in Barranquilla, Colombia. We were on the north side, which is a nicer part of Barranquilla, you know, more upscale, kind of the central downtown area, but in the north. And so after the nightclub, we go to a restaurant. And the style of restaurant is very common, where you'll have, it's an outdoor restaurant basically. The kitchen's inside, but everything else is outdoor. And this is like fast food. And so they had like empanadas and things like that. Everything's already made, and they have this little countertop, and you can kind of pick what you want. Kind of like if you go to get donuts at a donut shop. Same thing, same situation. So they have that front counter, and behind the counter they have seating, and in front of the counter they have seating. And so we're there, we get our food, we sit down, but we sit down behind the counter. So anyone that comes up, they're gonna come up to the counter first, order what they want, or get what they want, and then they're gonna sit down. So, and I generally, if there's a situation where I can sit to where I can see the biggest part of the room, the biggest part of the restaurant, that's where I sit. And that's just coming from my background, from my career. Yes, that's how I sit when I go to a restaurant. It's automatic. So anytime I go in, I do that. So I went in, I sat down, and my back was facing a pole, like a pillar, and then I could see pretty much the whole restaurant, right? So the front counter plus what's in front of that. Now, I had a couple friends with me. It was 4 of us total, and one of the friends that I was with, she was seated where she's facing me, but she can't see the rest of the restaurant. She can pretty much see the wall, like me and then the wall. And so we were sitting there, and I have my phone out. And one thing they always tell you in Colombia, keep your phone in your pocket. But in a lot of situations, I'll have my phone out if I need, because I speak Spanish, but I'm not fluent. Sometimes I need translation, so I'll have my phone out for that reason. I carry 2 phones on me, and I have my travel phone, which is the one that I usually will have out, and then I have another phone that's my personal phone. And when I say personal, I just mean the phone that I use when I'm in the US. That's what I use all the time. Then I have a travel phone that's a Google Fi phone. If you guys don't have Google Fi, you need to check Google Fi out, because it's a real good setup if you are a person who likes to travel a lot. But nonetheless, I have the Google Fi phone, and then I have my regular phone. At this time, I actually had both of my phones out, because generally what I do, the phone that I use at home is the Samsung S20 Ultra. So it has a really good camera, so I like to take pictures of food and videos of food and all that, so I usually pull that out to do that. So at the time, that's what I was doing. I had my phone out, and right after I took some pictures, I put it on the table. And now we're sitting behind the counter, so no one can really see exactly what we're doing. I mean, obviously they can see that we're eating, but they're not going to really know what's going on until they've ordered their food and they sit down, because they're not going to be able to see until they're not going to be able to really see what we're doing until they sit down. Okay, so now let's get to the details. Okay, I know I'm dragging this on, I don't know why, but let's get to the details. So I'm sitting there, and my friend is sitting there, and her back is to the front counter, so she can't see what's going on. So about four guys walk up, and this is like 2:30 in the morning. 4 guys walk up, kids. Now I can see them, and I would say they were early 20s. And I see her turn around, look at them, then turn back around, then turn around, look at them again. And I'm watching her more than I'm watching them, because I've already seen the guys. To me, and I don't really know exactly what I'm looking for, but they looked harmless. Okay, it looked like just some guys that just came from a club, and they just wanted to get something to eat, just like us. So she turns around, she looks again, she turns around, and the third time that she looks, she started with her hand, she started trying to like put her hand like to where my phones were, to like put your phone away, like move your phone away. That's what I'm thinking she's doing. So she's looking back at them, and she's kind of doing this at the same time. But what she didn't see is that her drink was right there. So what ends up happening is she tries to tell me to put the phones away, but what she does is she knocks the drink all over both my phones. And so now I'm in a situation where I'm sitting there, and if you didn't want to bring any attention to the situation, you just brought a lot of attention to the situation, because now you've moved the situation to another level, because now everybody's paying attention, because there's soda all over the table and on my phones. And now I'm trying to dry my phone off, and her other friends trying to dry my other phone off, and it's just like it's kind of chaotic. And so so these guys, they go ahead, they get their food, they sit down, they're harmless, no there was no problem or anything like that. But anyway, later I talked to her, because obviously I'm like, what did you see that I didn't see? And she was like, I got scared, I panicked. It's 2 in the morning, and I didn't know like what they were all about. Are they interested in like trying to rob us or what have you? Now, one thing I will say, anytime you are somewhere that you're not familiar with, and you're with people who are familiar with that area, you need to default to them always. Hey, is this you? How do you feel about this? How do you feel about that? Should I have my phone out? Should I put my phone away? Should we leave? You need to default to them, because they know or they know what to look for. Just like I was looking at this situation, looking at these guys thinking, ah, they're harmless. They know what to look for. Just like when I'm in the US, if I'm in certain situations, I know kind of what to look for when it comes to kind of I'll say the profile of a criminal, okay? Now that doesn't always fit, but it does give you some indications of there might be something that could potentially go down, so be aware. So that was that situation. I also had another situation in San Jose, which is a very small town in the La Guajira region of Colombia. Now here I'm out here with my friend Maya, Afro Guajira. She shoots videos on YouTube, so check her out. And we were hanging out and we wanted to get some pizza, so we go to this pizza place. One thing about San Juan is it's a very small town, and so they don't have very much. Like, you're not gonna find any like McDonald's, Burger King. You're not gonna find that there. You're not gonna find Domino's, although there's Domino's in Colombia. You're not gonna find Domino's or Pizza Hut or even Papa John's. All three of them are in Colombia, so they're just not gonna be there. So you have to go to these smaller places that you're not familiar with. So we go to this place, and we order the food, and we're just sitting out front waiting for them to get the food ready. And it was daytime when we got there, but the sun was setting. So we had been waiting for probably about 15 minutes, and just about the time when I would think they're ready to give us a pizza, Maya said, hey, we need to go. And I'm thinking to myself, what do you mean you need to go? The pizza's like it's getting ready to come out. She was like, no, we need to go. That second time she said we need to go, I realized we needed to go. Like, she was basically telling this, and she was talking to her cousin who delivers pizza for this place, and he's the one that said, hey, after dark, you guys need to, you guys shouldn't be here. Is what he was saying. And he told her that. And she's sitting in the car. We're sitting at the pizza place, and she's sitting out in the car, and she's talking to him, and he had just come back from a delivery. And so we get in the car, we take off. Now that's a situation where he knows the area. He's telling us, hey, no, you guys need to go. You guys shouldn't be here. We went ahead and left. And what happened is we left, and he delivered the pizza to me. That's basically how it turned out. But you always, and this is a situation, like I said, this is her cousin. So it's not one of those deals where it's like, oh, he just did that because he wanted to get the delivery charge, the tip or whatever. No, it wasn't like that. It wasn't anything like that. He was just saying, hey, look, this is not an area where you want to be at night. And so you learn things, but you need to listen to the people that you're with, if they are familiar with that area. And even if they're not, they might not be familiar with that area, but they are from Colombia, and they know kind of how to move when you're in Colombia. So don't think that the same rules apply in the US as they do it in Colombia. They're different rules, and they're different things that you need to focus on. In the US, very rarely do we worry about our phone, right? But in Colombia, you want to worry about your phone, because that's something that people will try to take from you, because you have to understand. I was talking about the Samsung S20 Ultra. It's an older phone. It's like 2 years old, but that phone, when I bought it, it was $1,500. Understand this. One of the friends that I was with that night, the whole phone situation where I knocked the phone over, she makes about $250 a month. $250 a month, give or take. She says it's about $10 a day is what she's bringing in. So you can imagine, if you're making $250 a month and you have an opportunity to get a phone that is worth $1,500, and if you sell it, maybe you'll get $900, $1,000. That's 4 months of salary for a lot of people in Colombia. So that's when you have to really start thinking. That's when it starts to make sense. Okay, yeah, you know what? I need to be a lot more careful with my stuff, because I'm not always going to have that opportunity to, you know, you could get in a situation where someone is going to try to take something from you. And so it just means a lot for them to take advantage of the situation, right? So just be careful. Another thing that I'll say when you're in taxis, and this is a little bit hard because I personally like to have my phone out when I'm in a taxi, because if I'm asking a taxi driver to take me somewhere, I want to make sure he's taking me to where I'm asking him to take me. And so I'll have Google Maps on, and I'll kind of be watching the you know, the directions. So my advice to you, try not to have your phone out if you're in a taxi. And when I say out, I mean visible. So what I'll do is I'll usually, in Colombia, I'll usually sit in the front seat. And the reason that I sit in the front seat, there's two reasons. I like just to be in the front because then I can see everything. And then also I like to use the seatbelt. And you're gonna find in Colombia, a lot of these small little cabs, these little taxis that they have, there's no seatbelts in the back. Or there might be seatbelts, but the little receiver that's on the seat, it's not there. They pull those things out. I don't know what the deal is when it comes to that, but very, very common. If you sit in the back seat, you're not gonna have any seatbelts. I like to have seatbelts when I'm in a car. So that's another reason why I sit in the front seat. But usually what I will do is I will have my phone and I'll put the directions on, and then I'll just put it under my thigh. So if it's in between my thighs, or like in between my legs, under my thigh, or on the side that's closest to the driver. So in between me and the driver, just put it under my thigh there. That way, if someone on a motorcycle, and generally the way it works is someone rides by on a motorcycle, and it's usually two guys, and they see that you have a phone out, especially if you have a phone out and the window's open, that's a good opportunity for them. And so what they'll do at gunpoint, give me your phone at a stop. And what do? You give them your phone. And so if they don't see a phone, then they'll usually go to the next person, the next taxi that they suspect has a phone. If they see that phone, then they know that there's a phone there. So just some little pointers there. Just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about that as I work out. Looking here, these are mango trees. So it's pretty cool. I would love to have a mango tree in my backyard. I have mangoes all the time. It's funny, I went to the store and bought some mangoes a couple of days ago. A mango, we're talking a large mango here, was the equivalent of 41 cents. 41 cents for this big mango. So, and they're all over Colombia. Obviously, if you have trees that are just lining the streets, they're free. So if you see some mangoes, you can just take them if they're ripe. But all right, so I'm gonna go ahead and go here. Just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about safety. I'll be talking more about safety in the future when it comes to Colombia, because a lot of people are uneasy about safety in Colombia, when the reality is in most situations you're gonna be fine. I'm in a nice community right now. Of course, you see me walking around with my phone out, got my little GoPro out too. Another thing too, when I travel, I like to use a GoPro to shoot video because it is small. I can put it in my pocket. I don't have to have it out all the time. So if I want to be discreet, I can just put it in my pocket. Plus, if I have it out, it's a GoPro. People are familiar with GoPros. They know it's worth something, but a phone is worth a lot more. So if you understand what I'm saying, when you look at it, if someone has an opportunity to steal something from you, they're probably going to want to get your phone, and they're not going to care too much about this GoPro. So anyway, that's all I have for you guys. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell notification, that way you get notified anytime we put out a video, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye.